Hello students, welcome to your channel. Please like, share and subscribe your own channel, School Studies. School Studies is pleased to announce the launch of our educational website, Patel section. After years of hard work and dedication, we are delighted to officially announce the launch. Today we will see a video related to NCERT Solution for Class 10 History Social Science Chapter 2 Nationalism in India. So let's solve textbook exercise. The first question is why the growth of nationalism in the colonies is linked to an anti-colonial movement. People began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with colonialism. The sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. But each class and group felt the effects of colonialism differently. Their experiences were varied and their notions of freedom were not always the same. The Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to forge these groups together within one movement, but the unity did not emerge without conflict. Second, how the First World War helped in the growth of the national movement in India. War created a new political and economic situation, led to the huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans and increasing taxes. Custom duties were increased and income tax introduced. Forced recruitment in villages caused widespread anger. Crops failed. This resulted in an acute shortage of food. 12 to 13 million people died due to the famines and epidemics. Why Indians were outraged by the Rowlatt Act. The Rowlatt Act was introduced in 1919. This act was hurriedly passed through the Imperial Legislative Council, although it was completely opposed by the Indian members. It had given the government innumerous powers to repress political activities. It allowed detention of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. Why Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. In Feb 1922, Mahatma Gandhi decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. He felt the movement was turning violent in many places and the Satyagrahis demanded to be properly trained before they would be ready for mass struggles. What is meant by the idea of Satyagraha? The idea of Satyagraha emphasizes the power of truth and the need to search for truth. It suggested that if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, then the physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. Without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a Satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. This could be done by appealing to the conscience of oppressor, including the oppressors had to be persuaded to see the truth instead of being forced to accept the truth through the use of violence. By this struggle, the truth was born to triumph. Ultimately, Mahatma Gandhi believed that this dharma of non-violence could unite all Indians. Write a news report on Jallianwala Bagh massacre. On 13th April, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place. On that day, a large crowd was gathered in the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh. Some came to protest against the government's new repressive measures. Others had come to attend the annual Baishakhi fair. Being from outside the society, many villagers were unaware of the martial law that had been imposed. Dyer entered the area, blocked the exit points and opened fire on the crowd, killing hundreds. His objective, as he declared later, was to produce a moral effect in the minds of Satyagrahis, a feeling of terror and awe. Write a newspaper report on the Simon Commission. When the Simon Commission arrived in India in 1928, it was greeted with the slogan, "Go back, Simon." All parties, including the Congress and the Muslim League, participated in the demonstrations in an effort to win them over. The Viceroy, Lord Irwin, announced in October 1929 a vague offer of dominion status of India in an unspecified future, and a round table conference to discuss a future constitution. This did not satisfy the Congress leaders. Next, compare the images of Bharat Mata in this chapter with the image of Germania in chapter 1. Germania, symbol of Germany. The image was painted by Philip Wigged in 1848, carrying a sword in one hand and flag in another hand. Germany is wearing a crown of oak leaves, as a German oak stands for heroism. Bharat Mata, symbol of India, painted by Avindranath Tagore in 1905. Bharat is standing with a trishul, standing beside a lion and elephant, symbols of power and authority. Next, discuss. List all the different social groups which joined the non-cooperation movement of 1921. Then choose any three and write about their hopes and struggles to show why they joined the movement. Below the list of different social groups who joined the non-cooperation movement and their struggles, middle class participation in activities. Thousands of students left government-controlled schools and colleges, headmasters and teachers resigned, and the lawyers gave up their legal practices. The council elections were boycotted in most provisions except Madras, where the Justice Party, the party of the non-Brahmins, felt that entering the council was one way of gaining some power, something that usually only Brahmins had access to. The effects of non-cooperation on the economic front were more dramatic. Foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, and foreign cloth was burnt in huge bonfires. The import of foreign cloth halved between 1921 and 22, its value dropping from rupees 102 crore to rupees 57 crore. In many places, merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. As the boycott movement spread and people began discarding imported clothes and wearing only Indian ones, production of Indian textile mills and handloom went up. But this movement in the cities gradually slowed down for the variety of reasons. Khadi cloth was often more expensive than mass produce meal cloth and poor people could not afford to buy it. Similarly, the boycott of foreign British institutions posed a problem. For the movement to be successful, alternative Indian institutions had to be set up so that they could be used in place of British ones. These were slow to come up, so students and teachers began tracking back to government schools and lawyers joined back work in government courts. Next, peasants and tribals. In Awadh, peasants were led by Baba Ramchandra, a sannyasi who had earlier been to Fiji as an indentured laborer. The movement was against talukdars and landlords who demanded exorbitantly high rents and a variety of other seized from peasants. Peasants had to do beggar and work at landlord's farm without any payment. As peasants, they had no security of tenure, being regularly evicted so that they could acquire no right over the leased land. The peasant movement demanded reductions of revenue, abolition of beggar, and some boycott of oppressive landlords. In many places, Naidhubi Bands were organized by panchayats to deprive landlords of the service of barber and washerman. Tribal peasants interpreted the message of Mahatma Gandhi and idea of Swaraj in yet another way. In the Gooden Hills of Andhra Pradesh, for instance, a militant guerrilla movement spread in the early 1920s, not a form of struggle that Congress could approve. In other foreign regions, the colonial government had closed large forest areas, preventing people from entering the forest to graze their cattle or to collect fuel wood and fruits. They enraged the hill people. Not only were their livelihoods affected, but they felt that their traditional rights were being denied. When the government began forcing them to contribute beggar to road building, the hill people revolted. Next, workers in the plantation. Workers too had their own understanding of Mahatma Gandhi and the notion of Swaraj. For plantation workers in Assam, freedom meant the right to move freely in and out of the confined space in which they were enclosed, and it meant retaining a link with the village from which they had come. Under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859, plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission, and in fact, they were rarely given such permission. When they heard of the non cooperation movement, thousands of workers defied the authorities, left the plantation, and headed home. They believed that Gandhiji Raj was coming and everyone would be given land in their own villages. They, however, never reached their destination. Stranded on the way by a railway and steamer strike, they were caught by the police and brutally beaten up. Next, discuss the Salt March to make clear why it was an effective symbol of resistance against colonialism. Mahatma Gandhi found a salt a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. On 31 January 1930, he sent a letter to Viceroy Irwin stating 11 demands. Some of these were of general interest, others were specific demands of different classes, from industrialists to peasants. The idea was to make the demands wide ranging so that all classes within Indian society could identify with them and someone could be brought together in a united campaign. The most driving of all was the demand to abolish the salt tax. Salt was something consumed by rich and the poor alike, and it was one of the essential items of food. The tax on salt and the government monopoly over its production, Mahatma Gandhi declared, revealed the most oppressive face of British rule. Mahatma Gandhi started this his famous Salt March, accompanied by 78 of his trusted volunteers. The march was over 240 miles from Gandhiji's ashram in Sabarmati to the Gujarati coastal town of Dandi. The volunteers walked for 24 days, about 10 miles a day. Thousands came to hear Mahatma Gandhi wherever he stopped, and he told them what he meant by Swaraj and urged them to peacefully defy the British. On 6 April, he reached Dandi and seemingly violated the law, manufacturing salt by boiling sea water. Thousands in different parts of country broke the salt law, manufactured salt and demonstrated in front of government salt factories. As the movement spread, the foreign cloth was boycotted, the liquor shop were picketed, peasants refused to pay revenue and chowkidar taxes. Village officials resigned, and in many places, forest people violated forest laws, going into reserved forest to collect wood and graze cattle. Next, imagine you are a woman participating in civil disobedience movement. Explain what the experience meant to your life. So in this, you have to share your experience. So as a students, put yourself in the shoes of women and share the experience. Next, why did political leaders differ sharply over the questions of separate electorates? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who organized the Dalits into the Depressed Classes Association in 1930, clashed with Mahatma Gandhi at the Second Round Table Conference by demanding separate electorates for Dalit. When the British government conceded Ambedkar's demand, Gandhiji began a fast unto death. He believed that separate electorates for Dalit will slow down the process of their integration into society. Ambedkar ultimately accepted Gandhiji's position, and result was the Pune Pact of September 1932. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was willing to give up the demand for separate electorates if Muslims were earned reserved seats in the Central Assembly and the representation in a proposition to population in the Muslim dominated provision. Negotiations over the questions of representations continued, but all hopes of resolving the issue of all parties conference in 1928 disappeared when M.R. Jayakar of Hindu Mahasabha strongly opposed efforts at compromise. So this was chapter 2, Nationalism in India, of History of Standard 10th NCERT Solution. I hope you like my video. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you. Please leave comment, question or doubts in comment section if you have any, or you can drop a mail to us. You will find my email ID at the end of this video. You can also join us on Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, connect us on LinkedIn or tweet us on Twitter. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you.